fill up a little bit.
People out there watching this.
All right. Daf Chof Vav Amud Beis. Today's Daf Chof Zayin. Okay. I know, but we started the Mishnah. Shalom Aleichem to Dr. Epstein. He's finally back with us. It happens to be Doc. That's a little off. It's crooked. Why? Yeah. So we're going to start from the Mishnah again, even though we started it yesterday. This happens to be a pretty decently complicated Mishnah, but we're going to make it simple. Where the good news is that tomorrow, Be'ezer Hashem, we're done with Kereisos. We're going to be finished, not done, Chashal, but it's a very complicated Masechta, and we're going to move on to maybe even a more complicated Masechta, but less words per page. Says the Mishnah, Hamafresh Teisloim La'asham. The Torah tells us that in Asham, you must Chavav Amud Beis. Dr. Epstein, we're holding Masechtas Kereisos. The Torah tells us that an asham must be purchased for a minimum of 2 selah. Each selah is 4 zuz, so a minimum of 8 zuz. So a person designates, sets aside 8 zuz for his asham. V'lokach behem shnei elim la'asham. He goes to the dealer and the guy tells him that it's his lucky day. He could buy 2 korbanos, 2 animals for the price of 1. Each one costs him a selah. If one of them went up in value, the guy is really lucky, everything's going his way, so one went up in value to 2 selah. Since he only has to buy 1, and he bought 2, why did he buy 2? Because he wanted an echrayis, he wanted to make sure that if one of them gets lost, the first one gets lost, he has a second one. So he only needs 1. So he should bring the one that's worth 2 selah. Vasheni, the second one, what is the second one called? The second one is called a moisar asham. This is the leftover, the whatever you have left over from what you designated. Yirachi istar. The second one is a big problem. What do you do with the second one? You can't bring it as an asham. You bought it for your original asham. Let's say you by mistake had a relationship with a shifcha charufa, so now you have to bring a sham shifcha charufa. That's my case. We'll just use that as the example, because not to be confused with a sham mi'ilos that we're going to be talking about. A sham shifcha charufa, he did an aver with a shifcha charufa. So he designated 2 animals. The second animal cannot be brought for anything else. And you can't redeem it. So what do you do with it? Yirad yistar, the famous halacha, you just let it graze until it befalls a mum. And then the money goes out to Nadava. Here's where it becomes fun. And this is what we were discussing yesterday. We'll say Balpeh. The guy goes ahead and buys 2 animals. He designated 2 selah for 1 asham, because that's how much an asham cost. Instead of buying it, he goes ahead and buys himself 2 animals for steaks. Now, he's making a barbecue, he bought himself. What is that called? That's mi'ila. He stole the money from the Beis HaMikdash, from the Asham. So what does he have to pay back? First of all, he has to pay back the original money, the 2 selah. On top of that, he has to pay an Asham Chomesh. With that original Keren, the 8 zuz that he stole, that he misused, won't call it stealing, he misused it, he has to pay an additional 25%. How much is that? Another 2. If you look over here, 8 plus 2, the gezel and the chomesh. But he also has to bring a korban called an asham mi'ilos. Right? He has to bring an extra korban. So we have here, okay, so what does he do now? So again, he set aside 2 selah and he bought with it 2 animals. Each animal has to be worth at least 2 selah. When you bring in an asham, it has to be worth 2 selah. But it only cost him 1 selah. Says the Mishnah, what happened was, the value and price went up, and each one of his animals, at least this one, is worth 2 selah. So what should he do with it? This he should use as his Asham mi'ilois. Asham mi'ilois. So when the Mishnah uses the word Asham, this is very important. What's so confusing about this Mishnah is the different ways the Mishnah uses the same words. In reverse, every time it's the opposite. It says one case like this, and then over here the word Asham means the Asham of his Me'ilah. And the word Me'ilah means the original part, the Gezel and the Chomesh. Now if you look at the next case over here, this is the next case. If I just line them up next to each other, you'll see one is, the one that we're talking about is Asham Mi'ilois, but the next case is Ashamai means the Asham, the original Asham, Asham Charufa. The Avera that he did. And then when you go to Me'ilois, in the first case that we're discussing now, it means the Gezel, what he was moil, the part that he used. And then all of a sudden, in the second case, Me'ilosai means the Asham Me'ilois, the carbon that he has to bring for the Me'ilah that he performed. Not the money that he owes, not the extra Chomesh, but an animal, right? There's two things you have to bring when you misuse Hegdish. You have to pay back the original and add 25%, but you also have to bring a carbon called Asham Me'ilois. So on the one hand, it's called Me'ilois is referring to the actual carbon that you bring Asham Me'ilois. On the other hand, in our case, Me'ilois means the money that he misused plus the 25%. The Gemara is going to discuss it. You might not like the answer so much, but that's the question. It doesn't change the case. It's just why are we using this money? So says the Mishnah inside, Shnei Eilim Lechulin, the guy went ahead and he misused the money. He had 2 selah set aside for a carbon asham, let's call it asham charufa, and he used it for 2 eilim chulin. He bought 2 animals. Echad yafa shtei slaim, one of them is worth 2 selah. That's exactly, it's his lucky day. That's exactly how much an animal must be worth in order to bring it to the Beis Hamikdash. Ve'echad yafa asar zuz, and it's even luckier in the second case because that's exactly the amount of money he owes now because he misused 8 zuz, so he owes a total of 10 zuz. And so happens to be that his animal's worth 10 zuz, or even more, but not less. Hayafa shtei slaim yikrav la'ashamoy. The one that's worth 2 selah should be brought as an asham. What kind of asham, Rabbi Isai? That's where it becomes tricky. Asham mi'ilois, not asham charufa. V'asheni l'mi'ilosai, and the second one not for asham mi'ilah, but rather for his keren and chomesh.
But he was mild on both animals.
He was moil on the money. He's moil money, and now he has, from money, he has animals. He set aside money, today he has animals.
He never used animals for the steak.
He never used animals for the steak, but now the animals for the steak are his money. He can do whatever he wants with it. Once your moil with money becomes your money, it goes out to chulin. Now I could either give the Beis Hamikdash money, or I could give them my animal that I got. Now, what happened in this case is that the value of the animal went up in his possession. So he gained here. He stole from Hegdish, and he bought an animal for 1, and he made money on it because it went up in value to 2. But it was in his possession, so he could give it back to the Beis Hamikdash as an asham. And we don't say, oh, it went up in Beis Hamikdash's possession. No, since he was moil, it became his money. And then he did a good business deal with the money. But it's his money, so it's his benefit.
What's the Kiddush in the Mishnah?
What do you want? What's the chiddush? Every time, what's the chiddush?
No, I mean,
This is one of the most complicated mishnayos. You tell me what's the chiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaroi.
he's got 2 animals, so now he's only got one for 3 selah.
Yeah. So to answer your question, look, I'm telling you, you're going to see this is a chiddush. There is a chiddush. First of all, chiddush number 1. Look at this. What can I use this animal right over here that's worth 10 zuz, 2 extra zuz? Can I use this animal for my Asham Elois and tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen, Asham Elois is only should cost me 8 zuz. So I'm giving you this carbon that costs 10 zuz for my Asham Elois, and by the way, you owe me 2 zuz change. He's talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu here. You owe me 2 zuz change. I want to designate those 2 zuz change for my chomesh. Could I do that?
That would be a chiddush.
That is the chiddush. That is a chiddush. That you can't do that. You can't do that. That's why you have to put your keren and chaimish in one pot. It has to be one animal, and that's why I'm using the one that's worth more towards the keren and chaimish. The one that's worth only 2 sela, I'm using it for my shami ilois. Next case. Echad la'asham ve'echad l'chulin. Now the guy has set aside 2 sela for his asham. He went ahead and misused only one out of the 2 slime. So he left 1 sela okay. He was only mile on 1 sela. So what does he owe the Beis Hamikdash now? If he used 1 sela, he owes the Beis Hamikdash 5 zuz. 1 sela, which is 4 zuz, plus 25%, an additional zuz. What happened was that the price went up. So the 1 sela that he didn't misuse, it remained hegdish, turned into 2 sela. He had 1 animal, and he bought it for 1, it went to 2. Great. So now he can use that animal for his original intent. He intended to buy an asham. Now he has enough money to buy asham. Why did this guy misuse the money? Because he didn't know the halacha. He thought, look, I have enough money set aside. It went up in value to 2. Now I can use the money for chulin. No. It's mila. So now he has to deal with the mila. So what does he owe the Beis Hamikdash? He owes the Beis Hamikdash a carbon mi'ila. He has to return the 4 zuz plus a zuz. Says the Mishnah, also not such a big chiddush. Just the lashon, maybe that's why, I was wondering yesterday, why did the Mishnah make it so complicated? And one time he uses the word asham for this, and one time he uses asham for that. One time the answer is pashut, because there's no chiddush in the whole Mishnah, and in order to make it fun and exciting, we change the words around.
Just for Mr. Kornbluth.
What?
Just for Mr.
No, I'm saying Mr. Kornbluth tires me the whole thing. Echad la'asham ve'echad l'chulin. He went ahead and he only misused one of the slime. Im haya shelasham yafa shtei slaim. Again, we're talking about moiser asham now. It left over from asham because I have 1 that's completely okay. Im haya shelasham yafa shtei slaim. If the 1 sela became worth 2 slaim, yikrav la'ashamai here. So this is the case. Once again, you have 2 rams. Rams are adult sheep, like the older ones that are over like 13 months and they already have horns, the scary looking sheep. So the first one, this guy right over here that's worth 2 sela should go for his original asham. He was over in Averu with a shifcha charufa, let's say, let him designate it for a shifcha charufa. Everything is good. So let's ignore this. If they even talk about this guy on this side, because that's how much he's worth. He's worth 2 sela. He gets away with it. Fine. Vasheni, here's where it becomes interesting. Vasheni limi losoi. The second one should go not for his keren and chaimish. The second one should go for his asha me'ila. Before we were talking about a keren and chaimish. No. Over here, the animal is worth 2 sela. So let him bring that for his asha me'ila. What do we do with the keren and chaimish? He has to pull it out of his pocket. He has to pay the Beis Hamikdash 4 zuz plus 1 zuz chaimish. You have 5. In addition to that, sela v'chumsha. Fine. As the Gemara, mai mi'ilasoi. When you say the word mi'ilasoi, we already explained this Gemara, but we'll see it inside. When you say the word mi'ilasoi, look, mi'ilasoi over here, all of a sudden it takes on something else, the gzela, and over here it means the asham, shamila. So what does the word mi'ila mean? Tell me. Diktani, so just to the bottom of the page, we're going to try to describe what the word me'ila is, and it's just going to get back to what we discussed, and why did we change the lashon. Diktani Reisha, by the way, doesn't mean the top of the Mishnah, because the Mishnah brings 3 cases. We're ignoring the first case in the Mishnah. That's such a simple case. If a guy he was mafresh 2 sela, and he bought two animals, and one is worth 2, so you just use one, and the other one goes yirachi stuff. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the 2 interesting cases that we need a charts for. The Ktani Reisha, in other words, the second case in the Mishnah, v'asheni limilasoi. The sheni limilasoi. So this case, the second one, goes to his me'ilah, meaning for his original carbon that he wanted to bring, for his gzeila, plus a chomesh, the keren and chomesh. Sorry. He's talking about for a carbon me'ilah. Let's say he's talking about carbon me'ilah. Ilema el asham, for his me'ilah. Now the Gemara means asham, it's carbon asham for his me'ilah, not the asham charufa. But because he was over an aveira of me'ilah, now he has to bring asham. L'meimra the chomesh b'adei ayil ma'aselei. So that's the question I asked you before. Can I use this asham me'ilos and bring the chomesh with it? Can I take the 2 extra zuz and put it over here with the asham me'ilos? V'oksiv, I can't do that. It goes together with the keren, not with the asham me'ilos. It goes together with the gezel, meaning the keren. Void, I'll prove it to you from the Sefer, from the 3rd case in the Mishnah. If a person just misused one selah, if one of them was worth 2 selah, you should bring it for his asham. It goes for his asham charufa. So you see, in the second case, the Torah wants you to bring the chomesh together with the keren. Al chomesh ba'ad gzeila ma'aselei. Elo milasei mai desani mehegdish mishtei slaim. The Gemara just explains what happened there in the case. Going through the case again. A person misused 2 selah. V'avashinu la'asham, because he put it aside for an asham. V'laka b'em shnei elim l'chulin, and he bought 2 rams for steaks. The yofish they slaim makriv le el asham. The one that's worth 2 selah, he should bring it as an asham, as his me'ilah. Okay, this case, the first case. The one that's worth 2 selah, he brings as a sham me'ilos. And the other one, he got lucky, it includes the original amount, the keren and the chomesh. That he should bring for whatever he benefited from hegdish. That's the keren and the chomesh. And what do I mean by me'ilah? I don't mean a carbon me'ilah, I mean the keren and chomesh. So now the Gemara asks the obvious question. You're telling me that the word me'ilah means keren and chomesh, the gzeila. In this case, over here, milasa means the carbon me'ilah. Reisha korila milas gzeila, seva korila milas el asham. What do we do? Says the Gemara, Reisha the havali ayil the zoban keren v'chumshoy. In the Reisha, we have here something that's worth keren v'chomesh korila milas gzeila. Since I have here 8 plus 2, so if I just call it asham me'ilos, we're not going to know what to do over here. You have 10 zuz. Why are you buying a carbon that only costs 8 zuz with 10 zuz? So that's why I tell you that 10 zuz means the keren the chomesh. Seifed havi ayil the zaban keren v'chomesh korilei el asham milasai. Over there it makes more sense to call the actual carbon me'ilah. And therefore you have to add from your pocket a keren and chomesh. Fine. So we're done with that. Zog the Gemara. So we just discussed that if a person misuses 8 zuz, he has to bring 2 zuz as a chomesh. And as we saw over here in this case, in both cases actually, they go together. Where do you bring the chomesh? You buy a fatter animal. Not like what I told you yesterday at the end after Shir is over. The chomesh goes together with the keren always. I can't make my asham me'ilos fatter. I don't give it to the Beis HaMikdash. I buy a larger carbon. So now the Gemara asks, what happens if somebody used the 8 zuz as one designation, but I can't put it in 2 separate areas? Yeah. Right. Yeah, but I'm saying that the 8 and the 2 go together. You don't separate them. So over here, what happens if a guy misused 8 zuz and now he has 2 for a chomesh, and he did it 4 times in a row? So now he has a total of 8. 8 is worth 2 selah. Can I buy with the 2 selah my original lasham? According to the Pshat and Rashi, one Pshat and Rashi. Boy Rab Nasha Bargado. Bikinus chumshin maushi iskaper. If I accumulated my chaimshin, I kept on doing meila, I kept on forgetting. We have to say that I forgot and I put it back as the main thing, as my designation, and then I reused it, because typically it goes out to chulin. So when at the chulin, I put it back as a kodesh. I used it again. Mi amrinon in timtza loymar odom iskaper b'shvach hegdish. This is on there. Yeah, it is. It's just called something else. Ask Ruben what it's called. I got it off there today, this morning. That's where I got it. It's on the Daf Chav Zayin. But there's like 5 things in the Chav Zayin. He called it, I forgot what he called it. Chaimish, something Chaimish. Ruben did this one. Where's Ruben? Not here today. Okay. Mi aminim tintzaloi ma'odim iskaber b'shevach hegdash mishum dikot torach kamei. Oh. We're discussing now Shevach Hegdish. We're going to be discussing it for a few minutes. Shevach Hegdish, I buy a typical case. I buy an animal for 1 selah, and then in my possession or in Hegdish's possession, I bought it for Hegdish. It went up in value to 2 selah. I fed it. I kept on feeding it corn. I gave it its, those injections and everything. It became worth now 2 selah. So typically I say Shvach Hegdish. Maybe on the tzad, we don't know if Shvach Hegdish I could use or not at this point. But let's say I could use Shvach Hegdish. It makes sense in a case that I created the Shvach. It's because of me. I kept on feeding him stuff until he got bigger. But what if the Shvach came by itself? Like in this case, I didn't make these 2 zuz. I was moil in the 4, and I owed Beis HaMikdash 2. So I set aside 2. It wasn't my Shvach. I didn't create the Shvach. Over here, it happened by itself. Maybe the reason why you cannot use the tzad, that you can't use an improvement of Hegdish, I didn't set it aside, I didn't designate it, but over here the person kept on setting aside 2 zuz. He was waiting for the day that it could be moil again, so he could have a total of 8 and bring a carbon. Perhaps over here, why? And so the Gemara really never gets back to this question. The Gemara, it's like a trick. We're going to go into so many different sugyas here, and we're going to forget that we had this question. By the way, there was a question whether or not you could use the improvement of Hegdish. You bought something for 1 and it became worth 2. Could I use it as a carbon? Our Mishnah, he set aside 2 selah and he bought 2 rams. Now, obviously, the value went up. What is that called? Shvach Hegdish. You're allowed to use it. My love, the Zavan Barabah, what happened? He bought it for 4, and it went up. The Shavit Hamya, now it's worth 8. He went to the guy and he told him the terrible ma'aseh that happened, that by mistake he was with his shifcha, and the guy said, oy vey, fine, I'll sell you, instead of charging you 2, because that's the market, I'm going to give it to you for 1. That's 100% good. Because I bought something that has a value of 2. What I paid out of my pocket is right now. It wasn't a Shvach Hegdish. It didn't go up in value in Hegdish's possession. It's not that I bought it on Sunday for 1, and all of a sudden the stock market went up. Right? They sell these things in the market, the cattle, whatever. All of a sudden it went up to 2. That's not what happened. I bought it at 2. I just didn't have to pay. What if somebody gives it to me for free, but he bought it for 2? That's okay also. So right now we have halacha l'maisa. If the roya, the dealer, the sheep dealer, gives you a good deal, that's fine. You don't have to pay 2. Toshma lokach ayu b'selo pitmoy. You bought one for a selah and you fatten it. Now it's worth 2 kosher. You see, you could use the shevach hegdish. Loi pitmoy shani the chosel itamya. When you fatten an animal, it actually costs you 8 out of your pocket. You put 8 into this animal. You invested 4 to buy it. You invested 4 to make it the size that it is today. Toshma If I bought one for sela and today it's worth 2, it's kosher. You must say that he fattened it. Then what's the difference between that, the first case and the second case? It's the same case. You said he fattened them. Says the Gemara like this. The first case is he bought it for 4 and he invested in another 4. Today you have 8. A total of 2 sela. At the end of the day, he spent 8. He only spent 7 on this particular ram. It happens to be today it's worth 8. So Mela, he's missing 1 zuz that he didn't spend on this guy. So then why does it say that he must pay an additional sela? He bought it for 1 sela, he has to pay another sela. Why? He already invested 3 zuz into that animal, so all he has to pay is 1 zuz. Why full sela? Why 4 zuz? He already spent 7 on this animal. It doesn't mean that he should spend another sela. Make up, fill in to get to a sela. So now the Gemara asks a beautiful question. What happened there? A guy bought, let's think what happened. A guy bought a sheep for 4, he invested in it 3. Today how much is it worth? 7. What does he have to do? He has to take 1 coin out of his pocket, put it in the pushka. But he didn't invest it in the animal. It's a bam kasha. He spent 8, yishkoyach. But he didn't spend 8 on the animal. He spent 7 on the animal and 1 went into the box. That's not spending 8. The Torah tells you when you buy an animal, you have to spend 8 on the animal. You can't buy an animal for 1 zuz and then put 7 in a pushka and remeir balanes. You have to put 8 in that animal. You didn't spend 2. Says the Gemara, you could use the improvement of hegdish. So, but lemaisa this animal is worth 8. So then why were Chacham Mechayivim to add another zuz? It already had a shvach hegdish. It already went up in price to 8. It's a gzeira. This is not good enough for me. I need to know, can I use shvach hegdish or not? Toshma, don't forget that we still had a question in the beginning. What happens if a person buys an asham with 8 chumshin? We're not going to get there. Toshma b'shas afrosha yofa sela b'shas kapara yofa shtei sloim yotza. If when he designated it was worth 1 sela and it went up in price to 2, that's good enough. There's a gear here that if it went the opposite, if it went from 2 to 1, then you're not yotza. Unbelievable chiddush. If I bought an animal for 2 sela, I was yotza my chiyuv for that. But up until the point where I gave it to the Beis Hamikdash, it dropped in value. Can't use it. Boy, Rebbe Lazar, this is our question that we're discussing until now. Ask Rebbe Lazar. And now the Gemara is going to bring 3 stories or 3 cases where people asked the question of Beis Medrash, and Rebbe Yochanan was bewildered. He's like, "Why are you asking this question? It's obvious. Don't you learn in yeshiva? Don't you know the answer?" So he asked the question: could I use I bought something for 1 sela and it went up in value? Could I use that animal or not? It became more valuable when Hegdish owned it, not me. He brought up here many years. What's going on here? What? So Rabbi Yochanan really did say this halacha? He didn't say it specifically on that. He said it the same halacha, but on a different case. That's not. Vlad toida utmurasa. A toida. Something really nice happened to somebody. He was saved. He had a machla, let's say, and he brings a carbon toida. We know that he brings the 40 breads in the famous vart. You have to bring 40 breads because you can't eat 40 breads. You have to bring all your friends. V'chulu. And it got lost. And he brought a second one in. But it also mentions the case of Vlad Toida. I designated a Toida. And this Toida animal had offspring. What is that called? No, better than that. It's called Shvach Hegdish. My Hegdish, Toida, had offspring. It just went up in value. I started out with 1 Hegdish, now I have 2 Hegdish. That's Shvach Hegdish. And it says, that you bring it, and you don't need to bring lechem with it. When do you bring bread? After you use the mother. But before I use the mother, I can use the offspring, the ton lechem. Meaning, I'm using the toida for a kapara. So I'm using shvach hegdesh of vlad for a pure kapara. You can't check the mother in the same day, but I'm bringing it as a kapara. I'm a kasavar miskabel shvach hegdesh. Yeah?
Not exactly
No?
worth more. Just
Okay.
have more. It's not worth more, Eli.
But why is that not shvach hegdesh? You bought an animal for...
Have more. The animal's not worth
No. You bought it for one selah, a pregnant animal, and today she gave birth. So how many slime do you have in your hand?
You have two.
You have two, so that's shvach hegdesh. You started with
I
one.
mean that the one that you have is worth two. Can you use the mother if it's worth more now? Yes or no?
No, it's not the question if you can use the mother. Of course you can use the mother. Are you yotze your chiyuv of hegdesh, of toida, by using the offspring? Because that's shvach hegdesh.
Try to
The
have
question was if it's
minimum
worth one, not worth two.
Yeah, but could you use shvach hegdesh? Just the question is shvach
The
hegdesh.
question is if it's worth one.
Let's go weiter.
He's confused because
Hello, what do you? Let's say a toida doesn't have to be worth two sel. You understand the question? Nothing to do with the value of the mother. I'm using. Can I use as a separate carbon? It's something that was created in the property of hegdesh. Maybe you don't have the right to use it for your own carbon. This is not your carbon. This is hegdesh's carbon. It was born when it was hegdesh. Why are you being yaitzi deichayv on something that wasn't born in your possession? Could you sell it? Could you sell that baby?
The question was, I thought,
Yeah.
if you have a carbon that's worth one selah, and now it goes up to two.
That's called shvach hegdesh.
So are you saying you're getting a new animal, or the same animal now is worth two?
But it's the concept is the same. Shvach hegdesh means it's now more valuable. So now you can have more value because it's worth from one cell to two cell, and it's more valuable because I have a baby. There's different ways to have value. Let's go back. We'll talk after shir. Boy Rebbe Lazar. Bali Chaim Nitchin Noiloi. We had this question many times in Shas. Once I have an animal and I push it off and I make it no longer, it's pushed off. I can't bring it now as hegdesh. Is it pushed off forever? So what's the classic example? You don't really need a chart, but where is it? Here's the question. To make it more confusing, there's a chart. You have an animal with a partnership. And then one partner made it hegdesh. Hegdesh is the chart. He made it hegdesh. But you cannot make a half an animal hegdesh. So it became hegdesh, gdushas damim, not gdushas agof. And then he went and he bought his partner's share. So now he has the whole thing. And he made the whole thing kaddish. The problem is, since when he did it over here, he made it hegdesh. It couldn't become hegdesh. It couldn't become gdushas agof. So it's pushed off. Is it nitcha? So if it's pushed off, is it pushed off forever? Even in a situation where I regained full control of this animal, maybe I can reinstate it and make it hegdesh, or not? Oh, Rabbi Yochanan, you like it?
I like the chart.
Okay. You're making a joke here, no?
No.
Okay.
Good.
This, you know who made it?
Once you push it off, it's always pushed off,
Ru-
right?
Reuven. I didn't think it was necessary, but okay.
Delegation over here, but it's good.
Oh, Reuven is gewaldig.
Once it's nifka, it's always
Arei kama.
I'm Rabbi Yechon.
Omer Rabbi Yochanan, arei kama shonim godol ze b'neinu v'lo yishama alo chazu mimeni. I don't understand what's going on there. How is he asking a question as if he never heard it from me? Miklad Rabbi Yochanan Amara in, yes, he did say it. Omer Rabbi Yochanan behema shashnei shutim. Higdish chetzio. He designated half of it for hegdish. V'chaz v'lokach. He couldn't do anything with the half. V'chaz v'lokach chetzio v'gdisha, and then it all became his. Kedosha. What's the halacha? It has gdusha ve'en krevi. It's not gdusha guf. It can't be karev. Voice tmura, but it has the power that if you take another animal and say that animal should be like the first one, it becomes tmura tmurasaka yotzeba. Shma minot las. We see three things here. Shma minot bali chaim nitchim. You could do it to a live animal. Ushma minot gdushas domi matcha, and you could, or you have to. I think Goyer says shma minot dichumi kara, that even when there's no chance for this animal never had a chance to become kadosh because it was always in a partnership. Ushmamino yesh dichu b'domim, because gdushas domim and dichu b'domim are the same thing. That's why Rashi's Goyer is different. Yesh dichu b'domim, even though I only designate it as gdushas domim, it's pushed off forever. Boy Rebbe Lazar, who's lutlaim ba'olam? Amazing kasha. What if I cannot buy? There's nowhere in the world that I could buy a sheep for $10 because two slime. Let's just call it $10 an hour a day. It's very, very cheap. 2 selah is nothing. The whole market dropped. You live in Greenland, all you see is sheep. There's no demand for sheep. A sheep is 1.5 selah. What do? The Torah says you have to buy it for 2. You're stuck. Iceland, whatever it's called.
I think it's New Zealand.
New Zealand, you're right, New Zealand. The Torah gives us maybe a reason this time of the Kra. The Torah is telling you should bring a nice fat animal, and then it tells you in a different pasuk that it has to be 2. At the end of the day, the Torah tells you that you have to spend 2. And you didn't do it, so you're stuck. What's going on here? How do you not hear it? Let's say, for instance, a woman who has to bring a carbon. Why does she have to bring a carbon? To eat kachim. Why didn't the Torah say there's a minimum? Because perhaps the price will go down and you'll never be able to eat kachim. So you see that if the price went down, you cannot bring a carbon. So maybe the pshat is I didn't teach other people this halacha, but I did learn it. It's a question what this means. Kereisos in Brachas says that it means that he used to review his learning of that month. Other people don't like it so much. Then what's the right here? He used to review all of Shas with Rabbi Yochanan every month. The bottom line is, how is it possible that he didn't know this halacha if he used to review it with Rabbi Yochanan? Nobody asked about it, and maybe that's why he didn't know it. How come the Torah doesn't tell us how much to spend on an animal that comes to eat kachim, like a woman? Because they'll never be able to eat kachim. Any chatas in the world, who cares? The kapara asks, so if he can't get a kapara, too bad on him. But he won't. Why didn't the Torah say that there's a minimum? It doesn't come to let you eat kachim. Gewaldig. Yeah. It's desperate times, desperate measures. Okay, this is not Chicago, Rabbi Yisai. Can't skip even one line. Not even a word. Listen to this. A Nazir brings 3 korbanos, right? So the Asham Nazir comes for nothing, as the Gemara says. It's an amazing Lashon. There's mamish, I can't think of a reason why a Nazir brings Asham. You don't start the Naziris over again, it's not for a kapara. He brings it down. So let it have a bottom line, let him have a minimum, and if he can't find it, too bad. Kasha. Okay, some sort of kasha. Zok the Mishnah. Oh, tomorrow night, Noam is making a bar mitzvah for his son Yossi. And at the bar mitzvah, we're going to have a siyum on Masechtas Kereisos. Hopefully we finish it tomorrow.
And it's for men only.
And tomorrow. Men only. It says, okay. At 9:30, at what time? Between 9:30 and 10. Be there at 9:30 if you can, at Beis Tefillah. Hamavrich chatos b'meis.
At the whole of Beis Tefillah.
You'll figure it out. Hamavrich chatos b'meis. If you go into the Beis Medrash, you don't see anybody dancing, go down to the hall. Hamavrich chatos b'meis. So we're talking about a father designated a korban and then he died. Lo yivenu b'noi tachtov. A son cannot use it for his own chatos. He also sinned. He can't bring it as a chatos. Now Rashi points out, obviously he cannot bring it for his father's chatos because a person cannot have a kapara with a korban after he dies. Lo yivenu, says the Mishnah, mechet. This is a very easy amud, by the way. Lo yivenu mechet achet. You can't bring it from one avera to another avera. Afilu hifrish al chelev shochal emesh. Lo yivenu al chelev shochal yom. Even on that same avera that he did on Sunday, he cannot bring it on Monday because it's 2 different averas. Shenema korbanoi al chatasoi atshir korbanoi l'shem chatasoi. The carbon comes for each particular chet. Even if it's the same, you cannot use it. Minan immediately, how do you know you can't use your father's and you can't do it on different chatoim? The Tanu Rabbana. Korbanoi b'korbanoi yoytze and yoytze b'korban aviv. So the Torah says korbanoi 3 times. Twice by a chatas yachid and once by a chatas nasi. It says it 3 times. Why? Gemara says basically, one tells us for from a very light avera like chelav and dam that doesn't have misa b'dei adam to chamura like Shabbos you get misas bezdin skila or min chamura lakala. I understand, it makes sense. You can't go from one avera, one type to another type. But if it's the same type, perhaps I could use my father's carbon. I'm also chayiv skila. I'm going to use my father's chatos. Tamid loymar karbonoi. Karbonoi yoytze ben yoytze bekarbonoi shalaviv. Yochol yoytze bekarbon aviv behema shivrish afilu min akala lakala. Sorry, but these words are very easy. Yochol yoytze bekarbon aviv behema shivrish afilu min akala lakala. Oy min achamura achamura. Now, that's okay. I can't go from one avera to another avera. If a person set aside an animal for his nazirus, one animal, he has to bring 3 animals. And he set it aside and then he died, his son cannot use any of those animals. But he could use his father's money, not an animal. So maybe Shari Odom Migalech Nizirus al Moishiv. Shari Odom Migalech Nizirus al Moishiv of Bisman Shem Stumim. If his father didn't specify specifically what the money goes for, he says the money is for this. I could buy a chatz and I could buy a oil, says Rashi. One or the other. If it's awesome, then the son can use the money. But okay, if the father said this money goes for oil, then the son can't. I cannot use the father's money designated for a carbon. What about if he himself, forget about his father, he designated an animal for his chet, but he wants to use it now for another chet? It's a chatos. He says a chet is a chatos. Yesterday I did Shabbos, today I ate chaylev. I want to take it from my Shabbos to the chaylev. That's to be very specific to that one avera. Okay, so you can't use it from one to the other. If a person, the Gemara is now just going to say, I can't go from an animal to an animal, but what about from money to money? If I was mafresh an animal for my chaylev avera, and then by mistake I brought it to the Beis Hamikdash, by mistake, for my dam, another avera, nothing happens. It's not me'ilah, and I don't get a kapar for the dam. Meaning, as we're going to see, Be'ez Hashem in 2 days, Mesechus Milah, you have something that's Kedushas HaGuf, an animal that's Kedushas HaGuf, I cannot get rid of the Kedushas HaGuf unless I give it a mum. But just calling it another type of carbon, or bringing it as another carbon, is not going to take off the designation. So I designated it for chaylev, but I ended up bringing it for the blood. The Gemara is going to explain this better. At the end of the day, it remains Kedushas HaGuf. I don't have a mum here, and therefore it remains hegdish and doesn't give me a kapara. But by money it's different. Maybe I should be able to be yoytze. Let's say I, Ruvain, set aside money for one avera, and I can use that money for another avera. Why? Because in the same exact case as we said before, but instead of an animal, it's money, I could change the designation if I do by mistake. If I set it aside for chaylev, and by mistake I brought that money for my blood, I was moil. I took it out, I made it chulin. And once it's chulin, I could change the designation from chaylev to dam, or from dam to chaylev. V'kiper, tamaloymar, korbonoi al chatosoy, atshiyeh korbonoi l'shem chetoi. The Gemara just explains, Ma'iloi marveloi keeper. So what if you have an animal you do by shogig, you bring it for another avera, you didn't do me'ilah, so what does that have to do with kapara? This is what he meant. Since you didn't change the Kedushas HaGuf, you didn't make it chulin, kapur name lo mechaper. Because lu yitzuyir, if I was moil in this animal and I made it chulin, now it's chulin, now it's mine. Yes, I owe Hashem and I owe everything else, but it became mine. Once it's mine, I want to change the designation from chaylev to dam, and from dam to chaylev. I could do it. But the fact is, it doesn't change the designation. It doesn't become chulin. If it doesn't become chulin, then I can't get a kapar for it. And therefore I can't have a mois, kimdi mishani moil. But by money, if I change the designation, it does become chulin. And because it becomes chulin, I could change that from chaylev to dam, umaise korban mi'ilo, and I have to pay for it, choymish and everything. Eimo betchilo nami maisi, so maybe lechatchila, I could change the designation. Kamash malon. All these psukim tell us that even yourself, your own korban, your father's korban, from kal to chomer, from everything, you cannot change. It has to be specifically to that korban. Have a wonderful day.
In his own situation, where